Hello and welcome, everyone. It's good to have you all back for our Business in a Box, creating a Coda system. This is session number 3, where we'll be focusing on making a team tracker that connects to all of the work that we've done with creating a company wiki and also creating OKRs. Now, if you haven't seen the previous sessions, that's totally okay. You can always watch them on replay on our Crowdcast channel, and you don't need them absolutely today in order to follow along. You'll be able to get everything that you need, even if you haven't seen those sessions. But definitely, I recommend checking them out if you want to take a look at the infrastructure of making a wiki-like experience and also how to get started using OKRs and goals and milestones inside of a Coda doc. Now, if you haven't attended one of these sessions before, no problem. My name's Maria Marquis. Here at Coda, I focus on customer education, so how we can help people develop the skills they need to be successful using Coda in their day-to-day work. Now, how this session is going to work is over on the right side of your screen, you'll see there's a chat field. You can go ahead and type whatever you want, whatever's on your mind, any thoughts, feelings, emotional outbursts, totally fine to go ahead and post over there. But if you do have a question today, just to make sure that I don't lose it, I want to make sure that you click the Ask a Question button right below my face. That way it'll be logged there. We won't lose it in the flurry of chat. And you all can actually see the other questions that people are asking, and you can upvote them if you have the same question, so I can know what's most important to you. Because after all, my main job today is to make sure that you leave with all of your questions answered, or at least a better idea of where to go next. So over in the chat field, I've posted a link to the doc that we'll be using today. If you're the type of person who likes to learn by doing, please feel free, pop in there. I'll be happy to assist with that. And you can explore some of the things we'll be talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. You should see it in just a moment. When you can, if you could give me a yes, looks good, I can see it, some kind of signal in chat so I know that we're all in the same time and space here. So if you can see my screen, you should see my mouse moving around, agenda. Just post a yes, no, I can see it, just so I know we've got everything we need here before we dive in. And can you all hear me okay? I want to make sure that the audio is coming in here too. So over on the right side of your screen, you should be able to just type yes, some kind of signal there, just so I know that we're all together. Just a quick check. Anybody out there? Just give me a yes or no. All right. Well, let me know if there's anything else. Perfect. Okay. Got it. Great. Thanks, Dale. Appreciate it. Wonderful. So we're all here. We're all together here inside of Coda. So if you're joining the doc with me, notice what I've done here is I've made a little table where you can go ahead and add what requirements you might have for a team tracker. So please feel free, go ahead, click on add a requirement. You can go ahead and include whatever you need your team tracker to do. And as we move through today, I'll be able to actually address some of those inside of our demo. So please feel free, add your requirements here. I'll take a look at that. So if we think about a team tracker, and feel free, go ahead, post a chat for me. Team trackers need to do a lot of different things for us. So in the team trackers that you're currently using, be it an app or a Google Sheet or whatever it might be, what are some of the things that it needs to do for you? So what does your team tracker need to do for you personally? Just to understand where everybody's coming from. I know here at Coda, what we need to make sure we know who owns it, which team it's part of, and when it's going to go forward so we can know how all these different pieces start moving together. But I'd be curious to hear from all of you. Again, go ahead, post a chat for me. What do you need your team tracker to do for you? Do you need deadlines? Do you need ownership? Do you need dependencies? What might that look like for you? Because of course, everybody's a little bit different, right? Some companies really need to have a lot of sort of maybe a process of passing from one person to another, or some companies might need to just understand where is this going to land in our calendar of everything else. So I encourage you as we move through today to really think about, like, what do I need my thing to do? Because you don't have to conform to what I'm doing. The point is that you should be able to use the different building blocks we'll explore today to help you get what you need from your particular tracker. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to, in our team tracker today, connect it to our company OKRs so that we can reference them. So in our last session, we created this company wiki, and over here on the side of the screen, over on the left, you can see in this section list, we created an area for all of our people information. We have a different area for welcome to understand about what our company is, a benefits area, and we also created a section with our company's OKRs. And how we did this is we had a table with the team that owns it, the goal, and then the associated key results, as well as the progress. So what I might want to do inside of my team task tracker is I might want to just be able to have access to those OKRs so that as we're planning our work, we can make sure it's connected to that higher level order. So what we're going to do first in our team tracker is we're going to do something called crossdoc. And this allows us to bring information from other Coda docs into our current one. So I'm going to go over here to the left. I'm going to say new. I'll choose new section. And we're going to call this OKRs. Now, instead of copying and pasting and then having two places to update, what I'm going to do instead is pull this in. So how it'll work is I'll click this nice big plus sign, and I'm going to choose import, or actually I'm going to choose sync, my apologies. And I'm going to choose over here, crossdoc. So notice, let's actually just make a little more space for ourselves. We've got the ability to import information from other apps using our PACS infrastructure. But the other thing we have over here is crossdoc. Now, this is going to pull in all of the different Coda docs that I already have. And I can even search for one. In this case, I want to search for my company wiki. I'm going to expand it, and it will show me all of the tables that are inside of that particular doc. And I can go and find the one I want. In this case, my OKRs, my objectives. And I just drag and drop it right over here into Coda. And it's going to pull in that detail. So this is a way for me to have access to all of that stuff, but in multiple locations. So this is a really great solution anytime you have a core amount of information that you need to push out to other locations, because this allows you to have all of that information right in here. You get everything immediately there, and you could decide, oh, you know what, I want to actually hide some of these things. Maybe we don't need to see the team or the associated key results or the progress or the row number, whatever you want. You can include however much you like here. But it's a way for you to have access to all those details that you need, and you can just decide exactly how you want to see it here as well. So I like it because it allows you to take that core information that is valuable no matter where you are and pump it out to every location where you might need it. So you can have your OKRs everywhere. You could have your people list. You could have your company CRM. And then what you can do is you can even add new columns here to kind of annotate this for your team without it being pushed back to that main area. So it's a really good way anytime you need to reference information to pull it on in here and have access to it. So now that you've got that connection point, now we can start to actually think about the task tracking element. Because if we think about goals, milestones, objectives, key results, those are at a higher level, right? It's kind of that bigger picture for our whole company, our whole department. And then we think about tasks, it comes down to a bit more of a granular level. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new section over here. And we're going to call this all tasks. And we could go ahead and add an icon. Maybe we want to have this one, or maybe this one feels really good. Pick whichever one you like. You could also add a cover photo if you feel like that's something you want to do. But now that we're in this all tasks area, we can actually create that full table of how we want to organize it. So what you can do is you can just type a backslash, and this pulls up all the things that you can actually add to your Coda docs. And in this case, I'm going to choose a table. There we go. And now I can choose to make a view of any of my existing tables or just a net new one. In this case, a net new table is good. We want to be tracking our tasks. So here we go. We have our all tasks table. When you're working in Coda, I think it's always critical to name everything, just so you're eliminating guesswork. Since you can connect things together, you might as well name everything in a way that you'll remember what it is, so you don't have to try and remember in the future. So go ahead, post a chat for me. If you think about your task tracker, what might be some elements of a task that you'd want to be in this tracker? So we've got our task name, but what might be some of the other things we need to know about this particular task? Feel free, go ahead, post a chat for me. Have our due date, of course, our assigned to, definitely we need that. but thinking about all the other things that you might want to do. Because if you click on this column over here, notice there's a lot of different column types you can add. You can add a select list. You could add a number. You could add a date. You can have a checkbox. You can have a people column, button. You can include images. You can look up from other tables. You can have a pack connecting to the other apps that you use. So there's tons of options that you can include here depending on what you need. Something I really like is you can do a slider, and this is for effort, kind of how intense is that going to be? And I also like to be able to include, let's see, in this case, a lookup column. And we're going to have this lookup to objective. So I'll show you what that means in a moment. So not every column needs to be the same. You can actually decide what you want it to be. In this case, a task text makes sense, but the due date, we can just click on that top of the column, choose format, and we're going to have this change over to a date. We can choose a single date or even a date and time if we want to get really hyper specific. So we'll have our date. Then assigned to, I like this one a lot because what you can do is you can change this to be people. That way, anybody who's part of the doc with you is actually now part of that drop-down menu. And then if you add them, you can choose to have them be notified. Notice this is one of the options, notify when added. So here now I've got a drop-down menu. In this case, Maria is here as well as this Steve here. So if you were to join this doc with me, you would then show up in that drop-down menu too. So it's a nice way to have it respond to whoever you're sharing it with. So then our effort, we can decide here what we want our slider parameters to be. The ability to format your columns is where you're always going to be having that connection point. So here we could say the minimum is 0 or 100, or maybe we just want to make it on a scale of 1 to 5. Yeah, we could do that too, however we like. Just include 5 there. And you can also change the increments here. So we could say, all right, now we've got our effort. Is it a 1, a 2, 3, 4, or 5? We've got that ability. And maybe you don't like the slider as much. Another really fun option, if you go to your format column, is you can change from slider to a scale. Let's see, here we go. It's under our number. Yes, our scale. And you can have it be icons instead. So how many cups of coffee are we going to need to get through this? Or how much money is it going to cost? Or how many lightning bolts fire? Whatever you like. I personally like coffee cups. So now you can change that effort as well. It just adds a little bit of fun. So let's just add our tasks here. We've got task 1 and task 2 and task 3. And then we can have our due date. So yeah, today. And then we'll do this one is due maybe next week. And this one will be due the following. And then we can go ahead and assign this to whoever we like, just like so. And now what I like about this objective connection by doing this lookup column type is it then goes and it pulls from that other table and gives you the drop-down menu. And if you have that hover over goal 1, notice it shows you all of the other relevant information about it from that table. So it shows you the name, the key results, progress toward it. And that would update anytime we make those changes to that goal table. So you get that up to the minute response, and you can show how the work that you're doing on a daily basis connects to those objectives. So allowing people to see how their work is lining up and aligning up through all of the departments, all of the people, up to those bigger company level missions. So now what you could do is you could also decide that maybe you want to sort this in a special way. Maybe you want to see all of your tasks by their objective. You could go ahead and say, great, I want to group this along the left, for example. And then you can see by goal 1 and goal 2, how are you doing? Another one of my favorite columns to add in a task tracker is just a simple drop-down menu to show the status. That's something I see all the time as far as the most valuable. So you can just click plus, choose select list, and notice you can choose from the other tables that are already in there, but also choose a new one. In this case, we'll name our select list status, and then we'll go and say, all right, let's start typing. Now, the nice thing is you can, if you start typing here, you can just automatically choose to add something new, but you can also do that under your format of the column type right here. So we could say, great, we've got not started, in progress, and done. And maybe you realize as you're working, oh, you know what, we should have a blocked status too. So you can just do that and add it there, and then it becomes part of your drop-down menu. Now, another really valuable element when it comes to our team task trackers is to add a little bit of color coding here. Now, also, just as a reminder today, I'm not going to be stopping and asking, are there any questions? Because I'm going to assume that if you have a question, you're just going to let me know by posting to chat or that ask a question option. So know that you're always able to connect with me in that way. No such thing as an interruption in our class today. Feel free, pop in those questions at any point in time. I'll be happy to help with that. So what we can do is we can now add that color coding, which lets us very quickly see at a glance, how does all of this work start to come together? So let's go ahead and choose our options. This is going to pull up our configuration menu where we can do all of the different configuration choices for this particular piece of work. So we can choose our conditional format here and then just add a rule. And notice it lets us pick from all of those different parts of our table, in this case, status. And then we just select which one we want to have color coding on. And we could say, great, we want not started to be like a gray, and then have it have a white font to just show that it hasn't quite begun yet. Then we're going to add another rule where the status, when it's in progress, we want that to be kind of a nice yellow, maybe with a good dark yellow font. That looks good. And then maybe we want to have another one here where status is done. And we'll have that be like a blue. That feels good. And then we want to have one for blocked. So we can go ahead and just add a final one right here. Status is blocked. And we'll make that red so it really pops, gives us that high blood pressure as we're working through. So now notice we've got that color coding automatically happening. And then as we make changes, the color coding also shifts. So it's a way for us to know exactly how we do things. And that was a pretty straightforward color code, but you can always make these as complex as you like. So maybe if the status is not started and it's assigned to Maria and the effort is 5, I want it to be purple. It's entirely up to you how you want that to look. So know that has a lot of creativity that's open for you there. All right, so let's head back to our agenda, see what is next. So we've added our task table. But now let's go ahead and start to see how we can explore how we view this information in different ways. Because this all tasks table could get very large, right? As we add more and more and more and more items, it's going to change. So we might want to be able to look at this in different ways depending on the questions that we want to answer. So maybe one of the questions we want to answer is, what are all the tasks associated with this particular goal? So we can go ahead and make a special area that's just for that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a folder over here, and we're going to call this views. And I'm going to make a new section. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead in here and say this will be goal 1 tasks. So again, we could add an icon just like we've done before. That one seems fun, a nice bullseye. And then if we want to create a view, we do the same thing as when we were making a new table. So we type table, we select it, and then we choose which of our tables we want to pull from. In this case, all tasks. So again, this is why it's important to name our different tables and views so that when we're in something like this, we know exactly what we're looking at. So we'll choose all tasks, just like so. We'll name this particular view as well. So we've got that connection. This will be the goal 1 tasks. And we'll go ahead and just collapse that side view, give us some space here. And now what we can do is we can add a filter to this particular view. So we see it differently. And we do that by clicking on filter. And now we decide what we want to see. In this case, we just add a filter. And here we're interested in the objectives, and we want to see everything that's associated with goal 1. And now if I click out of that side bit, notice it's only showing me goal 1 items. Now let's go back to that all tasks area. And let's say that we have a new task for goal 1. It's getting added. We're going to call it task 4, and this is due today. And it's going to be assigned to Steve, and it's going to be a 5. And this is going to be currently in progress. So now if we head back to our area that we just made that new view with, notice task 4 automatically shows up with all of the details for me. So as you make changes in any location, they automatically hold true everywhere else. So you only have to make an update once and it goes to every other area. But let's say that you're like, I don't want to have a separate view for each of these OKRs. Maybe I just want to be able to look at it depending on what I'm interested in. So what we could do in our all tasks is we could add a control and filter this view off of that control. So let's take a look at that. We're going to go ahead and just make some space here. And I'm going to do that backslash. And I'm going to start typing control. And I can choose from any of these types of controls. In this case, I want the select list here. Also, we've been doing a lot of work by adding elements here by doing that backslash command. But if you're not really a keyboard person, you can also do that from this red plus sign up here at the top. And you'll see all of the different selection options here as well. So again, whatever your preference is, it's entirely up to you. So what we'll do here is we'll choose this select list. We're going to right click on it. And this allows us to configure it. So here, we're going to call this the OKR picker, just again, so we know exactly what we're dealing with. And then for the selectable items, we're going to actually use a little formula action here. So I'm going to click on the F. And now I can add what I'm interested in. So what we'll do is we'll just go equals here. And we're going to say, okay, Coda, what I want you to do is I want you to look at the all tasks table. And I want you to look at the objectives. Those are the different items I'm interested in. So here, notice it says, look at the all tasks table. We have this dot, which is a fancy way of saying move on to the next step. So, and then look at this. So first look at all tasks and then look at objectives. So now, if we click out of here, we can see this drop-down menu has goal 1 and goal 2 because that's from down here. So the last bit I need to do is I need to connect this control to this table. So I'll go ahead and choose filter. And we want to add a filter, and we want it to be the objectives. But in this case, instead of choosing one of these pre-made options, we're going to go to this little drop-down menu and choose interactive filter. And then I just select whichever control I want to align this to, in this case, the OKR picker. So now, since my OKR picker has none in there, I don't see anything. But if I were to choose goal 1, I now see all of goal 1, and I could choose goal 2 and see all of goal 2. And maybe you want to make this something where you could select multiple goals. No problem. Just double click on that and choose allow multiple selections right here. Now we could select multiple items and be able to see everything in one. So this is kind of a nice way if you've got a lot of different things you want to filter by. You could make a separate view for each of them, but you can also just do that with a filter here. And we can just give it a little label like select a goal. And that allows you to do so. So again, it's a personal preference thing. And so much of building in Coda is about your personal preferences. Like what makes the most sense to you? What do you like best? All right, so now what we're going to do, head back to our agenda, let's see what's next on the docket, is making a view of the task by their status. So here we're going to do the exact same general logic of creating a filter, but doing it with a different part of our table. So maybe if we think about our task tracker, we want to be able to see everything that is currently blocked, right? We need to know as a project manager, where do we need to put our attention? So what we're going to do is create a new section, and we're just going to drag that here under our views, and we're going to call this blocked tasks. And again, we can add that icon. I like the fact that we have this brick wall. That's kind of fun. And be able to have this be our area. So now what we'll do is we'll do that same thing of adding a view by doing the backslash and then table. And here we're going to choose to make it a view of all tasks, just like before. And now, in this case, we're going to call it blocked tasks. And we're going to add that filter. So we can add a filter here in this configuration menu too. And how we'll do it is we can decide to keep this filter that's already existing on that parent view. We can also add more. In this case, we want the status is equal. So we can choose is any of, is not, or is blank. In this case, we want to choose is any of, and not started. We want to choose blocked. So now what we can do is, again, any changes we make back at that home base, maybe this is a blocked task. Now, if we head to that block task area, we see everything here. So now me, as the project manager, I can now know every morning I come here to the block tasks, I can see what needs our attention, and I can better plan my time. Another way that I really like to use views when it comes to our task trackers for teams is making it really easy for anybody who's on my project team to see what they have assigned to themselves. Now, again, we could make a view for every single person on the team, but if you've got a large team, it might not be very efficient. You might not want to do that. It might be just too many things. You don't want to see it. So my personal trick is to create a My Tasks view. And here's how that works. You're going to create a new section. We'll call this My Tasks. And again, add an icon, whatever feels good to you. And then we're going to make a view. So by now, you should be an absolute pro at this. You choose \table, and you're going to make a new view of all tasks. And we're going to call this the My Tasks here. So we're just going to go ahead, make some room. Perfect. My Tasks. And now what we're going to do is we're going to filter, just like before, by choosing Add Filter. And in this case, we're going to choose Assigned To. And then notice over here, one of the options we have is assigned to the current user. Now, what I like about this is it automatically adjusts this view based on who is logged in. So if I'm logged in looking at this, it shows me all of my tasks. If Steve were logged in, he would see all of his tasks. If you were logged in, you would see all of your tasks, etc. So it automatically looks at who is looking at this, and it's going to show you that view. So let's say that goal 2 now gets assigned to Steve. Notice how it gets filtered out of this view. It's no longer visible to me because I am not the owner of it anymore. So it's a nice way to create a little area for everybody to see just their stuff. And I also like to just put this one right at the top. So even before the all tasks, just put it up right there. Let people know when you log in, you can go to the My Tasks view. It automatically shows you everything you need. So that's something I personally find to be super valuable anytime I'm managing a project. All right, nice. So we've done our view by status. We've done our My Tasks view. So now it's time to talk a little bit about dependencies. And we chatted about this in a previous session around the need for dependency connection. And the way that we're going to do that is by using lookup columns. So let's head back to the All Tasks area right here. Go ahead and expand for ourselves. So maybe there is sort of a built-in dependency in these tasks. We know that some things need to happen before the others. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a new column. I'm going to right-click. I'm going to choose Insert Column, and I could choose left or right. In this case, I'm going to choose left. And we'll call this the dependency. And now what we can do is we can change the format of this column to be a lookup. So we just choose that format, say lookup. And in this case, instead of choosing a separate table, what we can do instead is choose to look up from this same table. So we're saying, hey, look at the table we're already in. I want to pull from that instead. Now, when we click here, notice all of those tasks are listed for me to choose from. So I could say this is actually a dependency of task 2. Task 2 also has a requirement here, task 1, and maybe task 2 doesn't have any dependencies. So now if we hover over the task, just like when we were looking at hovering over the goals, it pulls in all of the other table data. So you can see all the connection points. And now what I like to do anytime I've got dependency work happening here is I like to then group by that column as well. So we've already grouped by the goal, but you can add as many groups as you like. And you could group it across the top or again across the left. So you start to see this nesting effect, if you will. Now, what if we decided we want to change how this view looks? Well, all of our grouping will still hold true. So if I go to my options, and instead of seeing this as a table, I want to see it as a chart, and maybe I want to see it as like a Gantt kind of experience, we could go ahead and choose that here under our chart type. And then notice what happens over here. We see that the grouping is happening here too. So we can see the nesting of our tasks, also the nesting of our goals, and you can expand them out however you like. So it's kind of a nice way to see those changes and adjustments. And also just something kind of cool is if you drag and drop any of these, it's going to change for the core table and everywhere else as well. So the Gantt chart is still something you can interact with. And our filters would still hold true. If we only wanted to see goal 1's information, it would filter just like that. So any changes you make start to build on the next one and the next one and the next one. All right, so let's just switch on back to our table, just like so. And notice we've got a bunch of other display choices. You could have it be cards if you're used to Trello. You could have it be a calendar if you want to see everything in the dates. And also detail view lets you just see everything in more of a kind of a flip book type of experience, which I think is kind of fun. All right, nice, excellent. So let's head back to our agenda, see what else we've got on the docket for us today. Excellent, we've done dependencies. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at how we can actually summarize the workload of the people who are in this particular place with us. Maybe we want to see like how many tasks Maria has and how many she has completed, for example. So what we can do is we can make a special little view that allows us to see kind of a summary. So let's go ahead here, choose new section and summary. Now, you'll notice as we've been going through today, I've been making a lot of new sections as we move forward. That's very much my preference because I find sometimes if you've got too many things happening in a section, it can be hard for people to understand its purpose and like, well, when do I go where? And I just like to make it as simple as possible with one purpose, one section. It just allows things to, I think, stay a bit cleaner, stay more in line, and just feels better for how my team likes to do work. But again, you have the ability to make those changes however you like. All right, so we're going to add a summary here. Light bulb, that seems great. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another table. And we're going to make this a net new table. And we're going to call this the team. And here we'll call this the person. And then we'll do some formulas here. So we're going to change the format here to be the people column type. And here we're going to choose everyone on the team. So Maria and also Steve. We'll get rid of another row here. Right. So now what we can do is we can do some calculations. Saw how to add a formula when we were doing that control, but now we can do a formula here as well. So we can say total, and then we'll call this completed. So what we can do is just press equals, and that tells Coda, hey, Coda, I'm ready to do a formula. So here, first we need to say where we want Coda to start looking, and we want Coda to start looking at that all tasks table. And then we want to filter that table by assigned to is equal to this row, person, and then we want to count it. So here, let's break this formula. So again, it's read which table do you want to calculate of? Well, we want to calculate off of the all tasks, then where the assigned to is equal to the person in this row, and then we want to count how many tasks that is. So if we press enter, notice we both have 2. Now, if we were to make changes, we could see that as well. And then we can even make more what's the word I'm looking for? More calculations as far as the number of tasks that are completed, etc., and put that here. So we could say, oh, we want to do equals, look at the all tasks table, and then filter by the assigned to is equal to this row, person, and status is equal to done. And then count it. You can add more and more parts to that particular table as well. So in this case, I've completed nothing yet. Steve's completed 1. And so I like that you can do this kind of summary view, allowing you to see how these things are coming together. And in this case, I've decided to summarize off of the person, but you could summarize off of the goal, off of the team, off of any other part of your table. So it's entirely up to you as far as how you want to see and organize your information. And again, I've given you all access to this doc using that link. So if you want to steal these formulas, you certainly can. Please feel free to do so. So we've got that summary view, and we did that with the people column. Now, one of the other things that we can do for this summary, as far as another option, is we can actually pull from that company wiki, because part of our company wiki, if we open up this side, is this org chart. So notice the org chart has all of the people that we've currently got in our organization, and we can pull them in. So we can do the same kind of thing here, but by including a cross-dock table. So let's explore what that looks like. We'll do plus, we'll choose sync, we'll choose cross-dock right up here, and then we'll be able to pull from that company wiki where we were before. And then we can choose the people right here and drag it on in. So then when we've got this particular table, what we can do is we can do some filtering. So we could just see our people who are part of this team if you wanted to do so. And we can also then decide to make some connections. So it's just doing that initial sync and it'll pull in all the details. And then we could add the same formulas on top of this. So being able to see the full view here as well. So notice we've got this people table, so we could do the same formula. So we can say, all right, we maybe want to hide a couple of these columns because we don't need them here readily. So we could go ahead and hide the row. We don't need their location or their manager, but maybe we want the title. That would be really great. And what we can do now is we can just add 2 columns. So the total column and then the completed column. And we can do the same formulas that we did up here. So I'm going to choose edit formula just so I can copy paste this just for the sake of speed. So we'll do equals and we can paste. And in this case, we just need to change this instead of person. This column is called employee. And notice it does that little highlight so we can see. And we press enter. Then we can do the same thing on our completed side by choosing edit formula. We'll just copy all of this here and press equals just like so and paste. And then again, we'll change this to be employee instead of person. We can see all that detail. And this would immediately then update as we make changes inside of our doc. So again, these are just 2 different options. This is the first one that you can do where you're just doing that basic team table. But if you wanted to pull in all of the other relevant information about your folks from that company wiki so that it's able to be there for the team, seeing their contact information, etc., it's just another way of using your information and totally up to you how you'd like to see that done. All right, awesome. So let's head back to our agenda, see what else we need to handle today. So the last thing that we want to do is we want to do an email reminder. So when you think about running a project team, nobody wants to have to be that person who's just like nagging people to get their things in. So that's why I like having Coda, because it can allow you to create kind of like an intern or a administrative assistant, if you will. So maybe one of the things that we want to do is every Monday we have a team stand up and we want people to update their status here. Now I could send out a Slack message myself or send out an email, but I can actually have Coda take care of that for me. So how I'll do that is I'll go up here under the doc settings. And the first thing I need to do is just connect a pack. So this allows me to extend my Coda reach to the other tools that I work with every day. Now, the ones that I find particularly valuable are the Slack pack as well as the Gmail pack, because both of these allow you to make that connection to your team and your communication platforms. I'm just going to choose email just so we've got that, but we could do the exact same thing with Slack if we wanted to. The first step is you just need to sign in to install. So just make sure that you connect your particular Coda doc to your particular account so it can act on your behalf. And now what we can do is we can actually add what's called an automation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to automations right here on this little robot, and I'm going to add a new automation rule. And this is going to be the Monday reminder. And I can choose my trigger. In this case, I want to choose when. So I'll say this is a time-based thing. So in this case, Monday at 9 a.m., that seems great, but I could change my time zone if I'm not in Pacific. And then what I want to do is I want to email and have it send an email from me. So in this case, to maybe our team alias. So I could do team alias at ourcompany.com or whatever email addresses you'd like to do. And the subject line could be, please update your status. And then the content could be, jump to this doc. You can put the link in there and let us know about what we need to do. Whatever you want it to be. You could put the same thing in a Slack message to whichever channel you wanted to do, and then just turn it on when you're ready to go. And then every Monday at 9 a.m., Coda will, on your behalf, send this email out with all of those details. I also really like, when it comes to Coda, to email sections out, because I think it's a really helpful thing to do. So here, instead of the content, we could just do equals, and notice we can choose the section. So we could choose the all tasks section, and that's what I want Coda to send out. Or we could choose the my tasks section and send it out. So this way we send out that project update of everything that's going on with a reminder to update the status, and it's all going out immediately for us. So you don't have to be that person who's nagging or putting things out there. You just have Coda run your team process for you, which I really enjoy, because then it's all about the process you all agree on, and then Coda enforces it for you. Another really helpful thing when it comes to the Gmail pack, and let's go ahead and click on it. We give you a couple of different ideas here. So what you can do is you can actually pull in some templates from it. I personally really like the email a section option, just like this, because if you drag and drop it in there, what'll happen is it'll create a button that allows you to decide how you want to email. And we got a little flavor text here. We'll go ahead and just remove that, even though that corgi is very cute. And we can go ahead and remove that too. So how it'll work is you just choose the email addresses you want this to send to. And so in this case, I could choose, Maria at Coda, and add as many as you like. And then when you're ready, you could just go ahead and click on this button to email the section out. This is particularly helpful for notes, to send out notes after a meeting, or we could change that automation. Instead of having it do all the email business, we could go ahead and say, then I want you to push a button, and I want to push that send an email button. And then that's another really easy way to do it. It'll just email the section out. So kind of a fun way to connect those communication pieces with whatever you're doing inside of Coda. All right, so let's head back to our agenda over here. Perfect. So we've got our email reminders, and it looks like we don't have any other requirements here from the team. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. That concludes the core elements of setting up a team tracker that's connected to your OKRs. But if there are any other questions you have, anything Coda related, anything we talked about, if you need to see something again, please feel free, let me know. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you found a few things you can start to apply to your own processes and systems. And don't hesitate to get in touch if you ever need any support. We are here to help and more than happy to assist with whatever's going on in your world. So I'll be here for another couple minutes or so if there's anything else you need. Otherwise, enjoy your weekend and the rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. And as far as adding questions, you can add them to chat or that ask a question button right below. Either or, let me know what I can do to help you today. Yeah, so glad, Erwin. Yeah, enjoy. And I would say, start small. You can always add these things as you go and explore. Yeah. And on Friday, we'll be doing our fourth session in this Business in a Box, creating a Coda system, which will do a deep dive into meetings. So how you can run meetings using Coda, organizing your meeting notes, and have that be connected to your tasks as well. Yeah, excellent. All right. Any other burning questions I can help with today? Okay, fantastic. Well, thanks for joining me this week. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time, everybody.